Welcome to The Longer Game. If you're listening to a show about retail being reimagined. If you'd like to connect with The Longer Game, look for The Longer Game at thelongergame.com and on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at The Longer Game. We're here to talk about retail, why it's changing, how it's changing, and what you can expect in the future. We're not trying to take ourselves too seriously, but we do want to know what that retail landscape is going to look like. I hope you enjoy your time listening to this podcast. We try to keep it as quick as possible because we don't want to waste your time, but we want to keep you informed. Thanks for tuning in. Now, here's the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Longer Game, the show where we develop strategies for backgammon players. Psych! That's not what we do. We talk about retail. That was lame, but whatever. Who cares? We talk about retail. We talk about Retail Reimagined, and we bring on guests that have various bases of knowledge when it comes to retail. Now, I'm in the Amazon space, and so I happen to know a lot of people in the Amazon space, and that's actually a leading part of the retail direction right now. It's where things are very much heading. E-commerce is growing. The pandemic is forced, e-commerce to grow, and Amazon makes up 40% of e-commerce sales. So it's very natural that we talk about that. However, I don't think brick and mortar is going away forever. Ultimately, it's going to be moving omni-channel. But my guest today, his name is Brett Bohannon. He is the founder of Vortex, not VORTEX, VOARTEX, Vortex. Welcome to the show, Brett, and tell us what you do.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. I thought this was a strategy podcast for badminton. So
yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
We're going to talk about backhand first.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure we were in line with what we're.
I actually said backgammon, not badminton. So
I know, but I thought it was.
You thought it was badminton. Oh, okay, cool.
So
then you're on the wrong show, sir.
All right, we'll have to talk about badminton later. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. To talk about Amazon. I've been in the Amazon space since about 2016. Quick run through. Sold products, I think, like you did as well, and then sold that business, and then have been helping brands ever since. So I have a very I love to help brands on the platform. I love to see how it all happens. I love the strategy level of everything that is Amazon, and that's me.
When you think about strategy for Amazon, what do you like? What actually is that? Because it's like the word adding value.
Yeah.
People say I add value, and that's actually a lie. When someone hires me and my agency, they don't instantly get an influx of capital into their business. If anything, they're investing in us. What we do, and full credit to a gentleman named Keegan. I don't even know his last name, but he's on LinkedIn and he's a sales guy, and he talks about how when someone hires you as a service provider, you don't add value, you uncover value that's already there. So we're gatekeepers of sorts. And when someone's got gold in their bag, we just help them to maybe polish it up a little bit and actually be able to, or maybe that's not the right analogy. We help people to access the gold that's in the mine that is Amazon. I could come up with all kinds of analogies. I'm a little bit of an analogy freak, but
I think that's a great analogy because I think it's all there. It's just people don't know how to
already there.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
yeah, people don't know how to mine. They don't have the right tools. They don't have the right knowledge of where to dig. How far down do you dig?
And how to dig. Like people in the space like you and I, we kind of have this roadmap already with Amazon. We understand before. I would have to say, and I'm not trying to tout my own horn, but like 95% of the questions that brands come to me about Amazon, I have the answer for, just because we've been through it. We've been through the ringer. We've been down in those mines.
That's just the truth, man. You don't have to. You don't have to be gloating to tell the truth.
It's like, because we've been in it, and there are a couple questions that I'm like, oh, good question. Let me find that out. And that's what excites me, because that's when I know we still have more to dig. in that mind.
Yeah.
You know what I
You're
mean?
like, okay, good. I'm not going to
Yeah.
dry up anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going to find this out for you.
I mean,
Um,
in all fairness, Amazon, it's very complex, and there is job security for someone like myself or you who know and understand Amazon well. It's just how do you, what role are you going to play? What job are you going to take?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's so to kind of get back to your question, the strategy of it, it's really foundational. You got to check all the boxes, do all the right things, and then implement the strategies above that. So, if let's go back to the mining analogy. If you're sitting there with an axe and you're looking at a mountain, you're like, well, how do I use this axe? That's kind of like the foundations of it.
So
And
just
then
throw it at the mountain, or
exactly. Like, and to bring that into Amazon, I've seen so many brands where they just throw it on there. Um,
look,
and
it's stuck. Oh wait, it's coming down. Everybody
yeah,
move!
yeah, exactly. Ex-
Avalanche.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, figure out how to do the foundational aspects of it, build that foundation. I love the analogy. It's actually in the Bible. The building the foundation on solid ground, and not
Yep.
building the foundation on a weak foundation, because
Don't build it on sand.
exactly, it's gonna erode your castle that you build, your house that you build will fall. I can't say that enough. When it comes to the foundations is Amazon. I can go down so many roads with this, but yeah, that's what it is. It's like, and when I've been with brands, I see there's like three different stages of brands on Amazon that I've identified. It's like net new brands, not necessarily net new to the platform. It's just newer ones that need a lot of help. And then there's
Yeah.
ones that are climbing that hill. And then there's ones that have plateaued, that have got up that hill, and they're just like kind of cruising, up, down, sales are going down, sales are going up, and they can't figure out how to break through that next mountain.
Okay.
So I
It's
think,
not that they've reached the top of the mountain. It's that they're just plateaued.
correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah. And so that's how I've looked at it for several years, and then you could break down different strategies within that, because you can't go to the one that's plateaued. You can still implement some of all those strategies if you were going to give that brand those strategies on the very top that need a little bit more help. You can do it to the brand new ones or the one that's in the middle, but it's not going to work as effectively, uh, because you got so much other stuff going on down here, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does. And part of the reason I asked about strategy is I think we've all probably got a couple talking points that I've heard you say the, new brands climbing and plateaued brands before. So you've got your maybe elevator pitch of where you kind of come into play. And something I tell in my elevator pitch to brands, I talk a lot about how the strategy on Amazon is actually really, really simple. It's the execution of that, and that's like strategy implementation maybe.
Yeah.
But strategy is get your real estate looking good, get your I noticed like more corporate companies say PDP,
Yeah.
and product detail page, and sellers that kind of came like started from the bottom, now like Drake did on Amazon. They say listing,
Yeah.
my product listing. So it's always interesting how people say stuff, or maybe it's not. Who cares? If you're an Amazon geek like us, then maybe you do care. But it's get your real estate looking nice, looking fresh, and then it's step 2: send traffic to the listing. I mean, advertising on Amazon is a big part of that. You can send external traffic. Um, you can try to get traffic on Amazon organically. It's a lot more difficult these days than it used to be. And then step 3, optimize. And it's just a continuous cycle of those things,
Yeah.
real estate, think about it. Let's talk about another analogy. I have a feeling that you really wanted to. So you got a house that, in the 70s sold for good value, looked really great over time, continued to provide value. I mean, provide a home. I guess that's straight up value. And after a while, it got kind of run down. Someone went to sell it. And it's like, well, this hasn't been updated in a long time. What do? You bring in someone from HGTV and they fix it for free. and then you sell your home for a profit. Boom. That's how if anyone wants to get into real estate, that's how you get into real estate. Hire HGTV. They'll sell your house for you for free.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. I believe everything I see on TV and on YouTube and in newspapers, if they're still printing this.
I love that. I love that analogy. I seriously love analogies. You might see that on LinkedIn, and I'll credit you, Michael. I promise.
I didn't spark your love for analogies. I just gave you some good ones to roll with. Take them, man. Take them. I don't need them.
No, but this brought me when you were talking about real estate. So true. I think any real estate listing with mediocre listings, mediocre photos, no good.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, we were traveling. You know this, but we traveled in a trailer for a little while. Thought we tried that sexy lifestyle. Sorry, am I allowed to say sexy?
You can say whatever the hell you want to say.
But we thought we'd try that. Didn't work out.
This is a kids only podcast, Brett.
So when we sold it, I did photos really quickly on my phone. I'm like, okay, whatever. And they were horrible. But I was like, I'm going to throw it up there on RV Trader and see what happens. Very little bites, very little.
Okay.
And then my wife was like, oh, dude, you need to get better photos. Send me the photos. I'll lighten them up. I'll do the thing. And we were kind of midway for some curtains on some of the windows on the slide. And so I went in there and just busted it out for like an hour. I just put in some curtains. Boom. Right after that, we got like 10 inquiries because we updated the photos. That was it.
That's perspective. That's like everything in life. Your perspective makes a big difference. So if you can see something in a different light, if you've never seen something in a different light, you've only seen it one way, and then it steps out of the shadows into the light, and you're like, oh, this thing is actually this way. I mean, that's like people who hate other people. And I'm not specifically talking about racism or gender or anything, but you just hate someone. You don't really know them. Then you get to know them. And probably most of the time, like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Yeah, okay, they're actually kind of a cool person.
Yeah.
Even people that get on your nerves. I'm sure I get on some people's nerves. Probably get on a lot of people's nerves. But I'm okay with that. And it's, I'm not trying to please everyone. But if you can see someone in a different light, get a different perspective on them, changes your feelings. Just in the same way why being kind to people all the time, I truly believe is important. And I don't always win at that. I fail sometimes, but you never know what someone's going through. If someone said, hey, this person just skinned their knee, be nice to them, you might think, okay. But you say, hey, this person's, dad just died, you're going to treat them totally differently. Why? Perspective. Exactly. So if you have to have good perspective on your product, and that's why people stage homes. That's why you stage your product being used in real life. If we're talking about, brand like Yeti, they're going to put it out in the wild. They're going to show people sitting on the cooler by a fire. They're going to show it in use because they're staging it so people can see themselves living there. If it's Shure microphones, they're going to put microphone on stage, and they're going to show someone using it in a studio. By the way, this podcast is brought to you by Telefunken. That's who this microphone is.
Nice.
I bought it because it was red, and I've always heard about Telefunken stuff, and I just wanted to own something that said Telefunken. But it's served me pretty well, so I think I made some good decisions, even if they were superficial.
I love that perspective thing because I think there's a couple different ways to go about it. If you don't know who your customer is, that's okay, in maybe some early stages, but then you can figure it out. So you can switch things up on Amazon. You can change things. You can track it. You can look at it and go, okay, this worked. This didn't work. You can also go to any other competitor listing or PDP and see what's working and see what they're doing and see how effectively they are in regards to perspective for their customer. So,
and anyone who doesn't know, we're saying they're successful because we're likely using a third-party software that's giving us an estimate of what they might be doing in sales.
Correct.
There's a lot of different softwares out there: Seller Labs, Helium 10, Jungle Scout, plenty of others, and they're just giving us they're basing it off of some kind of algorithm they've created that determines, hey, we're getting sales. This one's getting 100,000 a month. This one's getting 2,000. But yeah, I just want to make that clear that we're looking at that based on, sales volume.
Good clarification. And I think they've over the years have developed so well that the data is even better than it used to be.
Probably a lot more factors going into how they're
Yeah,
considering
yeah,
that.
100%, 100%. I remember there were some that would just, and this, I like to take all that for a grain of salt. I like to use a couple different tools, but
I prefer pepper, but that's fine.
yeah, I like salt and pepper. But
Push it.
and utilizing Keepa, like I've seen products that just launch, and then like some of those tools will say it's like 100,000
Yeah.
every month, and you're like, well, wait, that's not accurate. Maybe when
Yeah.
they first launch and they're doing some black hat stuff, but yeah. So, but going back to that, it reminds me of when I was selling. We had essential oil jewelry, and at first we just put it up there and it did fine, but then we developed it to where we created some emotion and invoked emotion with imagery and the
Mm-hmm.
content and things like that. So we created a different perspective around the brand to differentiate ourselves essentially from competition that was coming in. So yeah, super important to do. I
I didn't realize that you also used to sell as well.
Yeah.
Was that before you were working at the previous company, or you sold while you were there?
No, I sold from 2016 to 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a do you want to know what I sold when I first started selling on Amazon?
What's that?
Well, actually, I started selling on eBay first
Nice.
and left my full-time job to sell full-time on eBay, then launched on Amazon, which is kind of crazy to think about now.
Mm-hmm.
I started selling fashion watches and cell phone cases.
Look at that.
And at the time, I think I had like a BlackBerry or something, and I didn't have a phone case, and I never wore a watch. I still don't. But I know other people did, so I started selling that stuff, and then I got into some like health and wellness, food, apparel, supplements, and then started getting into more like fitness type equipment. It was fun
Nice.
while it lasted, but
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm way more passionate about helping people grow their businesses. I'm not so product focused, but I
Yeah.
see what they're getting at, and I look at their brand. I say, man, I know that I can help you to get this thing to where you need to go. But there's a problem right now in this space, and I've seen people comment on it. I've seen you talk about it. I've talked about it. There are people making promises, false
Mm-hmm.
promises about what they can do, or they're just burning people, prospects out there, and they come to me, they come to you, and they say, well, I've had 2 other people say they can do XYZ. Well, you can't just say that because they've already had other people say that and that didn't do it. So you have to build trust with them, but they're creating bad, just a bad, they're being the bad apples of the bunch.
Yep.
And I love a good envy apple, so they're being like the old Granny Smiths. Sorry, Granny Smith, you're too tart for me. I can't eat. I'm not going to eat you straight up. Or crab apples. There we go. Crab apples.
Crab apples.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't shit on Granny Smith apples.
Yeah.
So
Granny Smith
I
with
think
caramel on the outside is really good, but
oh, okay. Well, now we're talking about flavor combinations, and that's a totally different thing. Sweet and salty plus tart. Now I mean, there we go. I mean, that's like why Granny Smith apples do well in apple pies too,
that's
because
very
they
true.
hold up their structure. Is this a cooking show?
Now it is.
I did mention HGTV. I think they do cooking stuff, not
I'm
just home
pretty
stuff.
sure
I
they
don't know.
do.
Who cares? I would recommend the show Booze Traveler for anyone who likes shows about people doing other things that you wish you were doing.
Oh, okay. I gotta check that out. That sounds cool.
Yeah, the guy just goes around to different countries and tries different drinks.
Nice.
And I mean, he's trying some really interesting stuff. Something it's not like the beer or wine of this country. I mean, He's having like coconut wine
Mm.
in Coconut Lightning in the Philippines. He's having soju in South Korea.
Real
He's having
real quick before we jump back into that issue that you're talking about. Tapache. Tapache is a really
Oh
delicious.
yeah,
Have you had it? It's
it's from
delightful.
Is it from Peru?
I think it's probably from a Hispanic, either Mexico or Peru, but it's
I've
not,
heard of tapache.
and it's like a kind of like a kombucha style, but you can actually make it on your own with pineapple rinds and sugar,
Oh,
and
okay.
you ferment it, and it creates a certain percentage of alcohol. So it's like a high like a it can be like 3 to 5%. Obviously, the longer you
Okay.
ferment it, but it's really good. Uh,
In Peru, there's something called spit beer, and it is the oldest fermentation method. It's exactly like it sounds. You take tubers, you boil them, you start chewing them up, and then you spit them out, and the saliva in your spit actually causes fermentation. And you can get like 5% on this, but they take this basically big. It's almost like a starter dough,
mhm.
but for alcohol. They've got all this fermented potatoes in a like a container, and then you mix it with water, and it looks like backwash, but that's
That's
what people were doing, man.
that's pretty legit. Reminds me of Jungle Cruise, that one scene that. But my kids love that movie, but they have spit beer in there.
Oh, they do.
uh,
I haven't seen
yeah,
it. I haven't seen it yet.
yeah. There's one scene.
I've been on the ride at Disney World many
I know,
times.
I love that ride. Um,
Something about Amazon. I think
yeah,
I don't
I think we were
remember.
talking about. Yes, there is an issue. I've seen it. I saw it kind of arise once the pandemic kind of happened because there was a flood of people that obviously needed help selling online, just in general. Um, and then there's it's So it's my passion to help as many brands as I can, but I'm a father of three. I love the lifestyle I have. I just got done with the surf. I was super excited to do that. So
Oh yeah.
it's harder to be like, I'm going to have 12 brands and take care of them, because then I wouldn't have a life. I'd have to build out a team and agency and all that.
Yep.
Um, you know, and you and I have seen it, and we're starting to see it even more. There's two problems. There's the people that are really qualified, and thus the supply and demand for qualified Amazon individuals, the supply is low, the demand's high. So obviously
Yep.
they're going to get paid more. So we get less qualified people in this pool, and people that do have agencies, larger agencies like you and other individuals are looking for qualified people, but they just can't. It's just the affordability comes into factor. Obviously, you got to look at all that factors when you're running a business. So there's this in between of like, okay, well, how do you get people educated, and how do you maybe just get some people that want to help out part time, and so
hmm
the education
Maybe they want
aspect.
to learn something new. Maybe it's like, hey, I want to. When digital marketing started becoming a thing, I want to learn digital marketing.
Exactly. And people know, I think people are starting to know a little bit more that aren't in this space of like, oh wow, a lot of brands are selling on Amazon. Like, oh, I'm in SEO. Like, I wonder how that works,
Yeah.
and you hear all about this, people remote or juggling multiple jobs. It's like, that's probably what's happening. So why not learn another skill to be able to kind of help out brands, or help out agencies that are helping out brands with very minimal workload. So I'm actually looking at developing something along that nature, because it's like, if I can help certain individuals, they can help more brands, So that's kind of where I want to go with it.
I started getting involved at a local university at some of their job fairs, and I was hoping to find some talent that might have some kind of experience and be able to teach them, or bring them on and be an intern, maybe do something social
Yeah.
media or whatever the case might be. But part of the reason I got involved is because they're now teaching digital marketing at colleges, but when digital marketing was happening and was booming, it was a viable job option for people. Universities weren't teaching that.
Hmm.
Schools are notoriously behind. So I wanted to say, hey, there's a career if you want to do something Amazon related. There's data, there's logistics, there's um, marketing, advertising, account management, all that kind of stuff. There's a need for that, and so you could be one of those people that do that. So I wanted to advocate for that, and because part of what I want to do, and I feel like you as well. It's not just I know when people say it's not about the money, that's a lie. Of course, it's about the money
Of course.
somewhat. I want to make money and I want to help provide for my family. So it's definitely not about the money. It's just not all about the money. Part of what I want to do is I want to have a positive impact on people. And so one of the ways that I can do that is helping them grow their business on Amazon, taking care of the people in my agency well, making sure that they've got good flexibility of work and that they're paid well and all that kind of stuff. And then, have a positive impact on the community, the environment around me, my city, the world is my community. So supporting maybe organizations that, are helping make the world a better
Mhm.
place. And also being someone that's a reliable source of information for Amazon. Not everybody's my client. Not everyone's my ideal client. So I'm
Mm.
not going to go after all those people. It doesn't mean that I can't put out good information that will help other people as an act of goodwill. And I think ultimately make the space better because we got a lot smarter people, a lot wiser people that are doing what need to be done.
Yep.
And they're, you know, we've got a competitive landscape and we've got more knowledgeable people. And so there's more job opportunities. We were talking about how, we're in sort of this revolution of a need for service providers to help on marketplaces like Amazon.
Yep.
Well, when someone first created a car, how did how did the first auto mechanic come about? Was someone from the factory called in to help someone because their car is breaking down, or did someone just know about building these? Like, there's this whole you create something new. Well, there's always going to be a problem or something that like fixing it or whatever the case might be.
Yep.
Which is why I don't think ultimately robots are going to take over the world. But that's I guess maybe another podcast. I don't know.
Yep.
That's a whole other category of podcasts.
And we could talk about that with our badminton and our cooking and backgammon as well.
Yeah, I don't play backgammon anymore. I gave that up earlier in the episode. I moved on to chess now, much more sophisticated. But that's part of it, is putting out good information out there. And so when you see people polluting the space
Mm.
and saying, oh, well, we'll guarantee to double your sales in 6 months.
Yep.
Here's what you can say, in my opinion. You can say on average we've doubled our client
Yep.
sales in the past 6 months. I'm not going to guarantee that to you. Why? Because I'm not an idiot and I don't
Yep.
want to over under what is it under what is it that I'm
under promise and over deliver.
Thank you. I don't want to over promise and under deliver.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a little bit of a brain fart there.
Yeah.
And so I want to do the opposite. If anything, I want to be able to set good expectations and hit and exceed those. I don't want to intentionally undersell myself and then whoa, you did like 500,000% better. I don't even know what that would look like, but I guess $1 to $500,000 in a year.
Yeah.
That could be 500,000%. So you're working on, I mean, you're not trying to, you are working on a way to help build people into knowledgeable Amazon machines.
Yep. Yep. Individuals like we spoke about that are interested in it and want to get involved in it somehow, and then also individuals that have some knowledge and they just want to gain a little bit more. So
what would be your pitch to someone who they're like, why should I care about or let's just say you're at a career fair. You're like, hey, you get a job doing something with Amazon. They should say, well, why should I care about that? What would you say? Besides telling them to get better manners.
that would be first. I mean, it's not going away. It's something that's going to stick around for a while. It's a good skill set to know. It can be translated into other areas in digital marketing as well. There's multiple things, and it's pretty secure, and it's a very high demand right now. That's what I would do in a nutshell.
What kind of nutshell?
That I would probably say a walnut.
Oh, I was hoping you could go with pistachio.
My son's allergic to pistachios, so we don't have those too much in the house.
You're allergic, or your son?
No, my son is.
Oh, really? And is that a certain kind of nut?
Yeah, he was allergic to quite a few. for a while. We gave him cashew butter when he was super young, and it just broke out in hives. So
Oh,
he
wow.
got him tested. He grew out of most of his allergies, but pistachios and cashews are the main ones.
Like, I know there's like tree nuts, there's pine nuts.
Yeah.
Technically, peanuts he's probably not allergic to because they're legumes.
Yep. Yep. Almonds used to be one, but now we just brought it back in very slowly, and he's totally fine with it.
I've read about studies where like reintroduction therapy is done, like a kid's allergic to an egg, and they just get like one bite like every day for like a couple weeks, and they slowly reintroduce it back in.
Yeah. Yeah, they do controlled ones at the doctors too, where they do it just to like and see, which is kind of crazy. But if you just do it slowly and you just kind of monitor it, it depends on how severe the allergy is, though. Obviously.
Yeah. Does the same thing work for drugs?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Don't try it at home, adults. I mean, kids, because remember, this is a kids-only podcast.
Kids only podcast.
Kids, dare to resist drugs.
That's right.
I actually had an old Dare shirt that I'm kind of disappointed I got rid of.
I know. I think everyone's disappointed they got rid of those.
Why did they get rid of them?
I don't know.
Because it didn't fit, or because they started doing drugs? They just thought, I'm really misrepresenting myself, so I just need to pick drugs or the Dare shirt.
Oh, man. I don't know. It's a good question.
You're always fun to talk to, and I think part of it is because you remind me so much of myself. I'm just kidding. You're always fun to talk to, Brett, and I would like to tell people where they can find you if they're looking for you. Is it conversion van? Is it a co-working space? Is it surfing? Is it dumpster diving? Where would it be?
I'm everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Ooh,
omnipresent, and what would be the opposite of that?
If you were to locate me physically, I'm in Encinitas, California. So if you're ever in the area, I would love to meet up and go first.
Originally from La Jolla?
No, actually originally from San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But California native.
California native, yeah. Yep.
I need to make my way back out to California. It's been a little bit too long.
Yeah, it's pretty beautiful right now.
Can I stay in your van?
Once I get a van, you're more than welcome to stay in it.
Oh, okay, that's right. You have to have a van first.
We gotta get it first.
So then, people can find you there, but what about on the internet? People can go to Vortex, VOARTEX.com, sign up for the newsletter.
Yep.
You're giving people information on the courses that you're doing. Where else?
Yep. The newsletter is going to be right on top of that in like the header area. So sign up. Right now it's a bi-weekly newsletter. Going to try to do it weekly, but right now I don't want to give myself too much. I don't want to disappoint people. So bi-weekly newsletter.
That's great.
Yeah. Follow me on LinkedIn. Usually it's high-level strategy there. Don't go into the weeds. And that's where kind of the newsletter comes in. I go into a little bit more of the weeds of some of the strategies that I talk about on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's a great spot to learn. I think it's become a little bit crowded and a little bit too much disinformation from lots of people. And
it has become more crowded. I've been using LinkedIn and posting content probably for the past 3 years. About a year and a half ago, I really started getting better. I was already doing video, but I really started getting better at doing it. And I've just seen a lot more content being put out there. I don't know if all of it. I do agree there's disinformation, but a lot of it is fluff. It's look at what I did to get this account to have this ACOS. And let me tell you, people, if you're an ACOS chaser, you're living a lie, because ACOS is not, and that stands for advertising cost of sale. It's how much you're spending compared to your sales that you're getting in ads. It's basically the opposite of ROAS.
Correct.
And so many people focus on that, but it's not the most important metric. And if anything, I'm talking to my clients and saying, we're looking for the best return. We're getting a lower return now, but we're looking to get a better one later.
Yep.
If you're strictly looking at things from an ACOS perspective, you're then chasing this imaginary number of, well, I want to be at 10% ACOS, to which I always say, why? And most people don't always have an answer.
Yep, exactly.
Agreed. So they can find you on LinkedIn. What is your favorite food? Go.
tacos.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Not total ACOS, but real tacos.
All right, we're gonna end it right there, people. That was genius. Thanks for coming on, Brett. If you want to find out more about Brett, go to Vortex VOARTEX.com. Sign up for his newsletter. Like you said, you can find him on LinkedIn. He is putting out content pretty consistently on there, which I think is great. Cool dude. And this has been The Longer Game, where we talk about retail, where we talk about food, where we talk about badminton, backgammon,
and
HGTV, and apparently how to resist drugs or give up your t-shirt if you want to do them.
Keep those t-shirts.
If you want to find out more, go to thelongergame.com. You can find us on all platforms or whatever people say at the end of podcasts. Who cares? I'm out.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to The Longer Game. We genuinely appreciate your time. And if you want to connect with us, please reach out to thelongergame.com. You can fill out a contact request form there. You can also find us on majority of the social media platforms, except for Twitter. That's the only one that we're not really on. This show is brought to you by my agency, Cartology. We're helping brands accelerate growth and become profitable on Amazon. If you'd like to know more, go to thinkcartology.com, fill out a contact form, and we'll get on the phone. That's what it's all about, connecting with you and building a relationship. This show is also brought to you by ArchDevOps. They are the ones that are helping make all the logistics of this podcast happen. We are so thankful for them. If you want to get your podcast up and running and you want to automate as many things as possible, go to archdevops.com. That's ArchDevops.com. and reach out to them. They can be super, super helpful. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day and be blessed.